Hello and welcome to a view from the South Stand. It's finished. Brighton 0, Spurs 1 at the Amex today. I'm going to get straight into it. I've got quite a few guests on today. Let's get going. So my first guest today is Ryan. How you doing? Long time no see.
Well, I'm good. It has actually been a while. Do you know what it was? It was Wolves the last time I was on the channel. That's a
Oh,
long time
geez.
ago.
Long,
That's a
long
long
time.
time.
Long,
It
long
is.
time. So we had a bad result last weekend, and Antonio Conte was forced into making some changes today. Were you happy when you saw Basuma come in and Doherty come in?
So throughout the week, I actually thought he was going to be even more stubborn and really sort of annoy people. But I thought he was going to stay with the same formation, and I thought he was going to move Perisic out to the right and put Sessegnon in on the left. That's what I honestly thought he was going to do. I didn't want him to do that. But when I saw the team sheet today and I saw three in midfield, I thought, okay, whether it's the fans voicing their opinion or if he's actually finally realised that we don't have the personnel to do what we've been doing with the two in midfield and we need an extra body in there. Whatever it is, I was happy with that starting lineup. I'm still not convinced by Doherty. I know he had a good end to last season and he got injured, unfortunately, but he's just, it could be like a match fitness today, but he's still basic passes, man, like 2 yard passes. He just can't seem to put them together.
So talking about that, obviously Doherty's come in. Would you still have him ahead of Royale, or would you still think, oh my God, Royale? Now you can see why he's been playing Royale for weeks.
Do you know what? That is a question that begs so many answers.
Yeah.
Emerson has his flaws. Doherty has his flaws, but then I can also understand why he doesn't want to rush Jed Spence in. But then I've looked at it like, you've said the kid's not ready, but the only way he's going to get ready is by getting minutes on the pitch. Anyone can look good in training.
Yeah.
Anyone. It's all about how you perform on the pitch. And I'm not saying he needs to start, but I feel like today, Perisic come on, for instance, you could put Jed Spence on and give him 10, 15 minutes. Just see what the kid's about.
Yeah.
And it's
he probably doesn't. He doesn't trust him, and there's something going on behind the scenes why he's not playing Jed. I've got my other reasons to why he's not playing Jed, but personally, yes, something like today, he possibly could put him, especially when we went really defensive in that second half. How do you think we coped with the 3-5-2 in the first half?
I thought we were brilliant in the first half hour, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought we were brilliant. I thought our press was on point, which is something we haven't done properly, I think, for probably all season. We've not pressed like we should have, and having that extra body in midfield allowed. I was trying to work out when I was watching it who was going to be the one out of the three that was going to push further forward. But it's like they were taking it in turns.
Yeah.
There wasn't one that was just right. I'm going to be the one that sort of floats in between, and then the other two will sit. It was more they were rotating. So one would go forward, then one would drop back, allow that one to go forward, and it's like they were rotating constantly, which I think played into our hands because it didn't allow Brighton to figure out who was going to be the person that was going forward.
Yeah.
I feel personally it should be Bentancur because I feel he is the one out of the three that can pick a pass.
Yeah.
And I feel Højbjerg is I trust him enough to be able to
back. He tends to play that way for Denmark as well. So he actually looked more comfortable today, more than usual that I thought in the first half. But then Brighton started to come back into it, and in it was a bit like us last week. Started to come back into it in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Were you worried, or was you like, actually, we look solid enough to cope with this?
I wasn't worried up to half time. I thought, do you know what? Because I expected Brighton to get back into it anyway, because they're at home, they've got the crowd on their side. They're always going to get back into the game. And I thought the last 10, 15 minutes, they were the better team, or they were more on top in an attacking sense, put pressure on us. So I wasn't really worried the way that it ended in the first half. I just thought, right, I hope we come out in the second half. We don't do what we did against Arsenal. We come out in the second half and we just play like we did in that first half hour, which we didn't do it exactly like that. But although Brighton were on top and so I was never really worried. I wasn't panicked. It's not like it was relentless like Arsenal last week, where every time they went forward, I was shitting my pants. It was literally. I felt that we kept Trossard was the one I was worried about today.
Yeah.
Didn't really see him much. Gross didn't really see much of him. Welbeck was in and out, but I felt we kept their real threats. I feel like we didn't see much from them throughout the game. It was more their two wing backs. I couldn't tell you their names, but I feel like it was their wing backs that were causing us the most problem when they were going forward. So I was actually, as a whole, I was pleased because I feel like since Arsenal, Frankfurt wasn't perfect, but it was improvement. And then I think today with the change of formation, I saw further improvement, and I just hope to God he sticks with this formation now, because it's so evident that formation it suits us best with the players we've got at the moment. It suits us best. I still think we're lacking a centre attacking midfielder who will bring everything together. A player that drops in, and then when he receives the ball with his back to the opposition's goal, he can turn and go forward. That's the sort of player we don't have. We've got a player, like I said, Bentancur, who can pick a pass, but he's still more defence-minded, so he'll still play that safe pass. I want a player that's going to go in, receive the ball with his back to their goal, turn and go forward and start an attack, which we don't have.
Do you feel like the front two kind of were the reason why we didn't actually score more goals than we did? I know they combined for the first goal, but what did you make of both their performances? And especially now they were actually playing up top with each other, probably the first time in a while.
Kane is, he obviously scored the goal. I don't think he's been at his best as a whole all season.
Yeah.
It's a bit of his passing seems to be a bit off. So I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. I just feel like he's still trying to do too much. But Son, I'm still convinced we've left the real Son in Korea, and it's an imposter. I don't know what's going on with him. It's just, I know he's a confidence player and he feeds off confidence, but the geezer come on and got a 15-minute hat trick against Leicester. How can that not give you the confidence? Since Leicester, he's gone back to how he was, and it's just like I don't understand it, because the guy's got so much talent when he in front of goal, and it's just we're just not seeing that at the moment. I honestly don't know why. I don't know if it's it's the classic case of competitions come in, Richarlison's come in, and it's Son's been so used to almost being behind Kane, or not even behind Kane, alongside Kane, the main man. I just don't know if that competition coming in has knocked his confidence, which, if anything, it shouldn't. It should actually help him kick on. Personally, if you're fed competition, that should make you hungry and make you want to prove the manager, no, I'm the main man. I want to keep my spot. I don't want this new guy coming in to take my spot. But he's just not. He's almost making it easier for Conte to make a decision in starting Richarlison ahead of him.
Yeah, no, I agree. If let's take this into perspective. If Kane wasn't scoring, would he be in the same situation as Son?
What, in terms of performance or the way we're judging him?
At both, to be honest, both. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think it's justified. I think no matter how good a player is, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
If you're not doing what you're meant to be doing, or if you're not performing the way you should be, then you're right to be criticised. I think to a certain degree. I'm not saying that if Kane wasn't performing, we then suddenly say, oh, he's shit, he's the worst striker in the world. But as a professional athlete, you've got to be open to criticism, and that's got to be part and parcel of football.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, if Kane wasn't scoring, I think it's anyone on the pitch. If Lloris wasn't making saves, or if Lloris is making mistakes, we criticise him.
Yeah.
If Dyer misses a header that leads to a goal, we criticise him. If Kane's not performing, which I'm not saying he isn't, but if he wasn't, I think as fans, you're well within your rights to criticise. It's anyone, any footballer in world football should be open to criticism.
So, in a general as a whole, are you more pleased with the performance today, or would you like to see a bit more from the lads going forward?
No, I am pleased. I'm not going to lie. It's anything 1% more than what was shown at Arsenal would have would have been pleased with, because that was
we don't go to the Emirates. Come on,
that was no.
get
I
used
don't
to
care.
it.
I don't care. It's not the losing at the Emirates. I got used to that. It was just the performance. It was the way we performed.
When was the last time we performed for the Emirates as well? It goes hand in hand, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just that's got to be one of the worst performances I've seen from a Spurs team in the last sort of 10 years at the Emirates. But as a whole, you know, the 3-5-2, I think it works.
Yeah.
It's obviously, you know, I hope Conte sticks to it. You know, but I feel it just suits the players we have more. It allows Son and Kane to feed off of. Again, it's difficult because we haven't got that player dropping in, like I said. But it allows Kane and Son to feed off of whoever is in that hole to play a ball through. It's not like when we're playing the three at the front and Kane's dropping back into a number 10 for whatever reason. He's dropping back into a number 10 to try and pick a pass. He picks that pass out wide, ball goes into the middle, no one's in there. Whereas with the two up front, we can still play counter-attacking football to a certain degree, but you've got more that there's a bigger chance of someone being in that box and hoping it's obviously Kane or Son. But yeah, it's 3-5-2 definitely suits us, and it's still not perfect. Don't get me wrong, it's not a finished article. I still think, like I said, the CAM in that three in midfield is key to us, and I just think wing backs are just the biggest issue for us. If you're going to play wing backs, it's just Sessegnon. I've said on the channel before, he's a very raw prospect still. But I feel like he's had enough time under his belt to get his final ball. The guy he's actually not a bad defender. He's actually pretty good. He did quite well today defending. He gets himself into such a good position, and then he just puts such a wasteful ball into the box. And I'm just like,
all the time.
But it just makes me think, if that was Perisic there, with all his experience and talent and stuff, he'd be picking a pass. And it's very frustrating to watch him. And you know, Emerson and Doherty. They're just like a couple of jokers in the pack. They're just, the sooner that they're gone or we improve on that position, the better. Emerson's never going to get into my yes, he needs to play every week. Yeah. Doherty, I think if Doherty can actually get back to the sort of form he showed end of last season, I'd be willing to tolerate him until we bring someone in.
Yeah, I think everyone's with you on that.
I just can't. I just want to see Jed. I just want to see what Jed Spence about. What's this kid about? Everyone was raving about him. I just want to see what this kid's about.
I've got my opinion on that, but I'm going to save that for another time. But last question on that, and I'll always get you with this one. Who's your man of the match tonight?
There was a few people that sort of played well. Bentancur for me. I just think he, in that midfield, I've said it so many times, he brings that cool, calm, collected vibe to midfield, and I feel like other players in the midfield and around him feed off that. Okay. I don't think he put a foot wrong. He got his tackles right. He picked the right pass every time. Højbjerg was a close contender, and I think Dyer actually had a much improved game today.
Whisper that way.
I'm not saying that he's. No,
I agree with you.
But I just think he had an improved game. He wasn't dreadful. But for me, Bentancur really sort of stole the show in midfield. I think he just kept us organised, kept it cool, calm, collected. So yeah, Bentancur for me.
Brian, thank you for your time as always. Hopefully see you again soon. Congratulations as well is in order. But as we always finish on, come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.
So I'll bring out my next guest. Flicks, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Welcome to A View from the South Stand. How are you feeling about today? And
Thank you. Do you know what? It was nervy. The last 5-10 minutes was nervy. I'm not gonna lie, very very nervy. I actually thought we was gonna concede very late on, but the boys held on all 3 points. We're showing Liverpool how it's done, so it's all good. Happy weekend.
Yeah. All good. So let's get into it. So obviously we had to make the change today. So obviously Doherty came in at right back, and he actually replaced Basuma with Richarlison, and he brought in Davis for Lenglet.
Yeah.
Were you happy to see these changes?
I was happy to see, obviously, Doherty there over the likes of Emerson, who was an absolute clown in my opinion. Basuma, finally got his chance to get obviously against his old club. I thought he'd done all right, apart from getting that yellow card very, very early on. But
I think you don't like McAllister.
lucky to stay on the pitch. Perisic as well. Not starting was a surprise, but again, Cesc done very well.
Yeah.
So not bad.
I want to get your opinion on how our front two did. I know they scored the goal, but how was their performance overall for you?
Compared to last season, quiet.
That's yeah. Are we kind of expecting more from these two at the moment, and we're just not getting it? Because it's not just been one game now; it's been a couple of games where both of them, if we're being completely honest, have not been on it as much as we'd like them to be.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. It's hard to say. Like with Sonny, a few weekends ago, I was saying Sonny, he's played too much, especially playing for South Korea. He's played a hell of a lot. I was thinking tiredness is kicking in now. But then he put in that performance coming off the bench against Leicester, hat-trick within 5-10 minutes. Oh, Sonny's back, and then he's quiet again. Should have scored today, unlucky. But it's hard to say. I don't know. What's your opinion on that one?
For me, I think both. I think a lot with Sonny. I think we relied on him a lot last season.
True.
You got to remember he was more reliant on him for the whole season, and then he obviously came back a week later to pre-season and everything like that. And I think everything's just caught up with him. He's just been on a whirlwind, especially going back to South Korea as well. He probably, it's probably just one of them where he's had there's a lot for him to take in. But with Kane only turned up, let's be honest, half a season last year. Right? For the first half, he didn't turn up. His mind weren't there and everything like that.
Yeah, true.
But for me, I think my biggest worry with Kane at the moment, I'm so glad he's scoring, don't get me wrong, but if he wasn't scoring, it's his passing that's completely gone to pot. He's not doing what he was doing last year. And I'm kind of looking at it going, if Kane stops scoring, is he gonna get the same treatment as Son? With fans as well.
True.
It's just looking at it that way.
Yeah.
What did you make of Doherty and Cesc today? Obviously, Cesc got man of the match according to Sky Sports. But what did you make of their overall performances? Was it a lot better than seeing obviously Royale and Perisic from last week?
Of course, I would say Perisic because Perisic is a top player, but for the likes of Emerson, like I've said on this stream, is an absolute clown. Shouldn't be in that starting 11, let alone the bench. But Doherty, we can still improve there. I want to see Spence, the last guy you had on. I'm going to say it now. I've seen Spence play when he was at Forest. Quality player, pace, skill, you name it. The guy should be starting.
Do you think there's more to it with Spence though? Because there must be a reason. Let's be honest. If we watch Royale week in, week out. I think Conte knows it's and he hasn't played Doherty at all this season, but it's more down to injuries. Is there more to it to the reason why he won't play Spence?
I was thinking about this one a few days ago, actually, last week. And I've seen a few people say the same thing. Apparently, the board got Spence in, and Conte didn't want him in. I don't know how true that is.
He's come out and said it's a club signing. So, and it was the only one he approved. He said they still want to do stuff with them. So he's come out and
Conte said that.
Conte actually said it's a club signing.
That's interesting then. That's interesting. So, why ain't he starting him? We're seeing it. So why can't Conte? What's Conte seeing that we ain't seeing? That's the question. So, but for me, Spence has to starting now, or at least come off the bench in the second half or whatever and start getting some minutes on.
I was very surprised he didn't feature. I'm very surprised he didn't come on today, especially in the last 10 minutes, especially when we were quite defensive. Like I felt like he could have just come on and we could have probably seen what he's like. I believe when he came on against Forest, and that's where Conte has a heart, where he brought him on against Forest, but he didn't do anything special. I did see a bit of him for the England under-21s, and yes, he looked 10 times better than Royale. But do you think it's a case of if Spence comes in and does okay, or even he doesn't even have to play well, if he comes in and does okay, and Conte goes to the board in January and goes, I actually want a right back, or he wants another player in another position, do you think, and they see Spence, they go, actually we can't get the guy you want, but here's another club signing that maybe you could turn into like a first team player like he did with Spence? Do you think there's that worry in Conte's mind to go?
Possibly.
Because that's typical Daniel Levy and Spurs, if we're being honest, to make signings, and it's not what the first team manager wants. And maybe that's why when the bid came in from Atletico Madrid in the summer, why he didn't sell him, why he said no, because he didn't want to be left with Doherty was injured at the time, so he would have only been left with Spence. So is it the better devil you know?
That's true.
in the same situation.
That's very true. Yeah, man, that's very true.
Just get into how did you rate the back three today? Did you feel like Brighton did have much of the ball, but do you feel like they were threatening with it at all?
Brighton, definitely. I was quite surprised that we had the clean sheet. Keeping the likes of Trossard very quiet, who I do highly rate. I love Trossard, quality player. So I thought our back three done very well today.
And also, what did you make of so with Basuma, Højbjerg, and Bentancur? Was you expecting Højbjerg and Bentancur to be so far forward, considering in a 3-4-3 they're quite static?
I was actually, I was expecting them to be, like you said, a lot further back, and have Basuma slightly up, just above them, if you like, just behind the Kane and Son. But all in all, the boys done well. Couldn't fault the guys today.
Good 3 points away.
Definitely.
Especially after seeing Brighton's record at the MX, the only team they've lost to in the last 8 is us. So that's 2 defeats for them. So it's quite good to see. Just going into Wednesday's game against Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Would you like to see the same formation, or would you expect Conte to go to the 3-4-3?
That's a bit of a tricky one. As long as Emerson don't start.
Well, I think Emerson's going to start no matter what at the moment.
Bloody hell. I'd start Perisic. I think I'd start Perisic for this one, possibly. I'd like to see Basuma start again and pretty much keep that same lineup.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Would you keep Son in?
You would have to.
Would you swap him for Richie?
No, I'll start Sonny. But then again, I'd like to see Richarlison start because of his shithousery and as a top player on his day, top player. But it is a bit tricky. But if I'm going to say it, I'm going to same 11. Same 11.
I think he might. Conte's very. Everyone likes using the word stubborn, but if he sees something that's successful, I won't be surprised if he goes into Wednesday exactly the same 11 like he did on Tuesday, where he had the same 11 against Arsenal. You're like, hold on, we completely got taken off the park. You're going to play the same 11, but they did respond. Because you've never been on my channel before, there's a couple quick fire questions that I'm going to ask, and hopefully I can get you back at the end towards the end of the season and use it against you. All right. Where do you think we'll finish in the Premier League this season?
Top 4. Do you know what? I'm not going to lie. At the start of the season, I said we're going to win the title. I know that's making me look stupid right now. So we're going to win the title.
You didn't have to say nothing. No one needs said it on our show. You
know what? No, I'm being real right now. No, I'm going to say top 3. Finish 3rd.
Quick question on that. Since you say top 3, who's going to finish above us then?
No, fuck it. I'm going to go back. So we're going to finish 2nd.
And I'm going to assume you're City are going to finish above us.
City are going to win a league. I hope I'm wrong, but City win the league. We'll finish 2nd. I actually think Arsenal, the way they're playing right now, they could finish 4th.
We can whisper that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. I'm being real right now. I'm being real.
They are playing well. It's hard to admit it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. We'll finish 3rd. Arsenal 4th. Hopefully not. Liverpool, they've been very poor. United even worse. Chelsea possibly 5th. Maybe a 4th, I don't know. But no, I can see us at least finishing 3rd. League Cup, I'd like to see us win the League Cup. A trophy's a trophy at the end of the day. It's 14 years this season without a trophy. So right now, I would take anything. A trophy's a trophy.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely the FA Cup. Definitely. It's the best trophy.
And where do you think we'll end up in the Champions League?
Oh, Champions League. I'm going to say... See, I've got to go by the way we're playing right now. You know, we're not...
Yeah, you're quite lucky you're doing this now and not like when I had everyone at the beginning, right. We had all confidence.
I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to say last 16, possibly quarterfinals.
Every single person in the Champions League, that's the only one everyone's been constantly, last 16.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. You know, I'd like to see us go all the way like we did that time when we did make the final, but no, I'm being realistic. Last 16, possibly quarterfinals, and then who knows?
Last question of the night for you. Who's your man of the match today?
Man of the match, I'm going to say Piero, the Viking, quality player. Viking, you know what, yeah? Can I just put it out there? A lot of people don't actually rate that guy. Why?
50-50. I think he's 50-50. I think a lot of people have seen this season. I think when he first came under Mourinho, he was what we needed. But I think we burnt him out. And we saw that a lot last season, that he was burnt out a lot. And then when Conte came in, until he put him next to Bentancur, it all started to fit into place again. And I think we're starting to see it again this season, because he's had some decent performances this year. And a lot of people have said, and a lot of people have been dead against him, saying, actually, he's actually performed well. And I like him, but at the same time, I can see what people's problems are with him as well. So I can see I always try and see it from both sides, but I do agree with you. He was good today. I can't deny that he was.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
And before I let you go, just let everyone just let people know where they can find you on Twitter and just talk about your clothing.
Yeah, I'll mention my clothing quickly. I've only been going about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get my next batch in pretty much the start of next year, January, February time. Much better quality as well. I've gone with a new supplier. So yeah, man. Officialclothing.co.uk. If you type that in on Google, it's also on Instagram, official.clothing.uk. Twitter. Got to try and think about that one now. Anyway, yeah, find that one link in your description.
Yeah, links in the description, people. So make sure if you want to check out the clothing, good little range. Yeah, man, and I'm gonna have to get something so I can put it on and I can wear it on this channel just for you as well, and for coming on as well.
No
but
worries.
Flex, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today, and hopefully you can come on again at some point soon.
Definitely, man. Just shout me. Definitely.
Yeah, as I always say with all my guests, come on, you Spurs.
Up the Spurs, come on.
So I'm going to bring out my next guest, another newcomer to the show. I'm just making sure that he is ready. Tops, how you doing?
Yo, Marlon, what's up, man? Can you hear me okay?
Are you good? Yes. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. What are you saying? How's things?
I'm good. So let's kick off. Kick off with the starting lineup. Obviously, there was 3 changes today from the midweek draw against Frankfurt. Obviously, Basuma came in for Richarlison. Doherty came in for
Emerson.
Actually, Cesc came in for Perisic, and I forgot Lenglet and Davis. Obviously, came in. Yeah. Was you happy to see that starting lineup today?
Yeah, I was. I was actually quite surprised that he's gone 3-5-2. To be honest with you, I was like convinced that he was going to go with 3-4-3 today to match up against Brighton.
I thought that as well. Personally, I thought he was going to go for it. When everyone said that they play exactly the same formation, I thought he was going to go with it as well. But I was so happy to see that he did go 3-5-2, because if there was a game to do it, this was it.
Absolutely. And even though like Brighton seemed to be in like a good vein of form, I always thought that to a man we could probably just squeeze a result. So the fact that we've managed to go there and get a result today is huge, to be honest. So yeah, I can't really complain.
So what did you make of so once obviously we got out there and the first half an hour, or let's talk about the first 45 minutes as a whole.
Yeah.
How did you think we got on? Did you think they looked more comfortable? Did you feel like it was just missing something?
I think we definitely looked a lot more comfortable than we have done in recent weeks, especially in possession. I mean, obviously, having another guy in midfield massively makes a difference. Someone who's the qualities that Basuma possesses. And if I'm honest with you, I actually felt that we were quite comfortable in that first 45. Although towards the end of it, Brighton did come into it a bit more. They did have a few more chances than I probably liked. And actually, half-time probably came at like a good time for us. But, I mean, for us to get the goal and to create some good chances, I wasn't really like upset with the first half, to be honest.
So obviously we kind of went, Brighton tried to start the first 5 minutes again like they did in the second half. But do you feel like we've actually had more control over that second half and we actually dictated it more? Or do you feel like that Brighton kind of just stepped off a little bit?
No, I think a little bit they stepped off a bit. Like, to be honest with you, I feel like one of the big things today is that we actually defended well. I feel like there was a lot that they threw at us, and actually we dealt with it kind of well. And if we're talking about actual clear-cut chances, we reduced them to basically very few. So
yeah, and especially when Brighton, let's be honest, have got Danny Welbeck up front. And
Danny Welbeck and Gross and Trossard, who've all kind of been in good form. Like, I feel like we actually did, because I watched quite a lot of that game last week that they had against Liverpool, and it was like the opposite. They had chances at will and creating lots of different opportunities against that Liverpool back four. But today, I mean, they had a fair bit of possession, but I don't think there was anything that was like crazy, like high in terms of XG creation. I felt like we defended well. I thought Dyer was excellent today. I thought Cesc was really good today.
Yeah.
Romero, he had spells, and you're gonna have to like really get like a 10 out of 10 performance from Doherty for you to get any kind of comment or positive compliment from me about him. But yeah, I mean, like, defensively, I thought we were at it today against like an informed Brighton side who actually haven't lost at home or have had a really good home sort of run.
We were like, they've only lost 2 in the last 9, and both of them have been to Spurs. So
it's good. It's positive. Do you know what I mean?
Positive.
Yeah.
So definitely. You mentioned Doherty. Let's quickly talk about him. And the reason why I'm going to mention him is because obviously he took Royale's place today, right? And that's how we got to look at it. He took Royale's place today.
Mm-hmm.
Would you, so take Spence out of the situation right now, because we have to look at it as Conte is looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Who starts Tuesday, Doherty or Royale for you?
Tuesday. I in fact.
Or Wednesday. Wednesday. Who starts Wednesday?
I'm Frankfurt at home in a really what is a must-win game in Champions League.
Who are you trusting as your right back out of those two? If you're going to have to trust one of them,
I think he's going to go with Emerson. The reason I say so is because that's Doherty's first 90 in like forever, and Emerson's had a week off, and even after what was quite a poor performance from him last week against Arsenal, he then was able to just slot back in against Frankfurt on the Wednesday as well. So I imagine with the rest. And Doherty playing his first 90 in forever. I don't really want to see it, but I know that.
So would you go? Would you go for Doherty over Royale? I know you don't, or would you go for Royale over Doherty if it was you personally?
If it was up to me personally, I'd go with neither. I put myself there.
Well, to be fair, if you put one of them, it'd be like putting no one there anyway. So it doesn't really matter, does it?
If I had to pick right now. Just for like continuity in the team, I would probably just pick Emerson and then change it up in the game. That's all.
I want to talk about the front two. How do you think they coped today? Because it's probably the first time in a long time that both of them have played with another central. They've actually been a 2 instead of a 1. How do you think they both got on today?
I didn't think they were like amazing. I've like kind of been at odds with both of them in the last few weeks. I kind of feel that like the one good thing I like about their partnership is that they know each other. There's like what I would say is a good amount of consistency in their partnership. They always kind of find each other. They're very good at creating for each other and scoring goals off of each other. So I think that's like a really big positive. And obviously that's how we were able to get the goal today.
Yeah.
But like honestly, if I'm going to be so frank, Marlon, man, like for the last few weeks, I've just been really disappointed in both of them. I just the reason I say so is because you can play games, you
Mhm.
can score or you can create and not play particularly well, and that's okay. But I find that like it's a bigger measure of what kind of player you are when you are not particularly like winning or you're not
Yeah.
performing well, and you as a player, you start doing lots of the basics. Just you just lose the basics, and I feel like more so actually, not much so for Kane, but more so for Son. I
Yeah.
found that in the last few weeks, where we want him to just do the basics, the simple 5-yard passes, the good runs, the passes around the corner, the interchange with like Kane and Richarlison or the fullbacks. He's just been lacking, to be honest with you. And I don't know, I still can't really work out whether it's confidence, whether it's like because he's got a lack of goals, or maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself. But I don't know, it hasn't really worked. Weirdly, I know we're only like a game week, like 8 or 9, wherever it is in the league. But today was a difficult one because I've wanted to see us play 3-5-2, and we were able to get a goal from basically the two of them combining. But I would still say that there was a lot about their game that wasn't particularly tight, and that's one of the things that I just feel about their game at the moment is that we're getting the odd opportunities, but I feel like if their game was a little bit tighter, if their touches were a bit tighter, the decision making was a bit quicker, we could be a lot more like incisive, the two of them. And like I suppose we're in a fortunate enough position that we can even have games where we take them both off and bring on like good amount of quality and players like Skip and players like Richarlison, which is something that we never had the opportunity.
And that's the thing. Yeah, you look at today. That's the first time I probably can remember that Son and Kane both got substituted. I know Kane was more down to an injury.
Yeah.
The fact we can officially do that now and have Richarlison playing up front, it's a massive thing. And maybe we're just seeing in both of them right now what happens when you've been relying on players for the last 6-7 years.
Absolutely,
constantly play 50 to 60 games a season.
Every season,
season,
with,
and it's
with no one to replace you or anything, no one to step in and help you. It's true, bro.
And they're probably both looking at it going, oh, Richarlison's here now, I can finally get some help. And they've probably just gone down a peg or two themselves and gone, well, I know that I can get a rest if I need it. But I think for both of them right now, and I totally agree with you, it's just the passing element and turning around the corners where they haven't been sharp enough. And the last 2 games of, against Arsenal last week, how many times the both of them didn't make their passes?
Their final passes, especially in that final third,
And there was many times. I know Richarlison's not been the greatest when he's come on and all that, but actually, if there was a couple chances last week against Arsenal, if Son and Kane would have just played them the passes they were playing last year,
it looks a bit different. It
looks a bit different. And even on against Frankfurt on Tuesday, if anyone had a complaint, it was the front three. Everyone else actually played really well. I think a lot of Spurs fans said that. So
this is it, man. This is it. A lot of it, like even us guys at New Spurs Order, we said we felt like defensively we were good. We felt like the midfield was actually very, very good, and where we lacked like massively in that game was us in the final third. We just didn't make anything happen, or actually the finishing in the final third was not of good quality. Wasn't of high quality.
And as this is your first time on my channel, and I'm going to ask you series questions, and hopefully I can use it against you at the end of the season. And clip them all out. Where do you think we'll finish in the Premier League? You're quite lucky because you've got 9 games in. Right now, season, as we are right now, so you can't even predict what we're going to do in January. It's where you think, if we had this squad, where do you think we'll finish?
Game week 9, we're third. We've lost 1. Played 3 London derbies away. I think we will strengthen in Jan. I really do, and I think it will pick up. I think we finished second this season.
Okay,
I actually think we can. I think we finished second this season.
Where do you think? How far do you think we'll get in the League Cup? And you're quite lucky because the draw's been made. So we've got Forest.
Like in the League Cup, I mean, to be honest, like I'm one of these Spurs fans that like that's a cup that I don't really. I know it sounds terrible because we've not won in ages.
What are you saying?
I'm just of the opinion that like, in the League Cup, I think we can get definitely semi-finals or finals. There's a cup we've actually performed really well in the last few years.
And I think a lot of people have been like that. It's the one cup we have performed well in.
Yeah, I'd say. I would like us to go to the semis. It would be nice to go to Wembley. I just feel like there's other teams who have like squads that are just very big and can maybe share the load in terms of like that's the one problem I have at the moment with the Spurs team is that whilst we made lots of really good signings in the summer, I think we padded out our squad, but I still don't think our first 11 is down. And until our first 11 is down and we've got a padded squad of players who can come in and do jobs, I just don't see how we can. Because, like, you know, with the World Cup coming before in November, it's going to be so many games. And I could just, right now, I just feel like I need to see where we are by the time the World Cup comes. And then I think I will be able to really make a proper judgment. But because the FA Cup usually is from January onwards, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So if we make some good reinforcements and don't have any key injuries, I think we can go quite far. We always kind of do okay, but then we always get to the latter parts when we play like a big side and fall away. So I'm going to say quarterfinals.
Champions League?
Oh, Champions League's a funny one because I feel like we need to really win these next 2 home games. These next 2 home games
this
really
is the biggest issue.
I mean,
it's not a Conte competition either.
It's not, you know, like these 2 home games I think will determine where I think we go. If we don't win both of them and we don't finish top, I think honestly against a top side round of 16 we could go out. But if we finish first, excuse me. If we finish second, I think we go quarters. And the problem I have, you see, is not that we can't go far in the Champions League. It's just that, like, I just feel that this style of football is actually not conducive for Champions League football. I feel like there's lots of really technical teams, even teams that are even like, you know, in lower leagues or way down like their league tables and other European like leagues. I just feel that like it really asks a lot of every single player technically, and I feel like this kind of formation, this kind of style of play, or the 3-4-3, excuse me, that's not really a style of play that I think works in the Champions League. So I think maybe as well, that's kind of maybe why Conte hasn't had much luck in the past. But I think if we finish second, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we went out in the round of 16. But if we finish top, I think definitely quarterfinals. I think we're a good enough side to beat anyone who comes second in the group, and I think that's when you can really kind of tell where you're at by the time you get to quarters of the Champions League, in my opinion.
And before I let you go, and as always, finish on with my guess. Who's your man of the match today?
My man of the match today. Give it to Højbjerg.
Oh, another one for Højbjerg.
I give it to Højbjerg. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a massive fan of his, but I just feel like he is such an important player for us. Yeah. At least with him, you don't get someone whose form as a player is like super tumultuous. You kind of know what level you're going to get from him most weeks. I almost feel that like when there are days where maybe like Dusuma might not step up or Bentancur might not step up, you always get like a decent, solid Højbjerg performance. Sometimes I still think I feel like we could have a better technical player, but in terms of his work rate, what he gives to the team, I thought he was very good. Big shout out today as well to Cess. Big shout out today to Dyer as well. I think Dyer's come on leaps and bounds.
Probably 3 players that you've picked there that got a lot of slack from Spurs fans as well.
Yeah,
so,
that's what is so funny, isn't it? Like players who have in the past, like we've really given kind of a lot of grief because I personally I called for Dyer's head for a long time.
I still am.
Yeah,
but the last 2 games, I have to admit, he has stepped up. And Conte, I'm one of them. Conte knows what he's doing. I'm just a fan who thinks he knows, and then all of a sudden you go show me that Dyer's
we all
well.
do, bro. Like, you know, I think a lot of people are eating their hats about Dyer's form in this last sort of 18 months. To be honest, yeah.
Before we let you go as well, plug your chat, plug New Spurs Order. Where can people find you?
Yeah, man. New Spurs Order, you know, just a bunch of guys similar to you, bro. Just following all things Spurs. We don't really go with the usual negativity. We just kind of keep it real. Fair few of us go to the game regularly as well. You can find us on like Twitter under New Spurs Order, Instagram. We usually record on Thursdays, live shows, and then the shows come out live stream, excuse me. Every Thursday usually, and then they usually are released usually by Saturday morning. So it's always good to give it a listen. before the weekend games, man. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. And as we always finish on, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Safe, bro.
See you later. So another guest. I've gone thick and fast today. Thick and fast. And let's bring on a regular. Justin, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, Marlon. Yourself?
I am good. So let's get into it. We're going to try and fly through this. So obviously he started with 3-5-2 today. A few more changes. He wasn't being a Conte stubborn as everyone calls him. Basuma obviously came in for Richarlison. Doherty obviously came in for suspended Royale. Cesc came in for Perisic, and Davis came in for Longley. Was you, when you saw that lineup, like, oh my God, he's finally put 3-man midfield? Were you happy?
Oh, to be fair, absolutely. I think I looked at it and I had to double take because I thought, is that right? Are the people in the position that they're meant to be? Has someone done a typo or something like that? So no, absolutely. I thought, it was really, really positive. I think the thing that shocked me more than anything, I put a tweet out to the effect of basically saying, so we all know that Perisic is going to start, on the right. And then when I saw that it was Doherty, I thought, wait, Doherty actually is going to start a game? I didn't think that could happen either. So I must admit, I was quite sort of taken aback by it. But to be fair, although we sort of, let them grow into the game, we played our best football at 3-5-2. It's as simple as that. I don't see how he can continuously go with 3-4-3. I know that he went to it to try and kill the game, but 3-5-2. End of. I'm sorry. Anytime he plays 3-4-3, I start to wince. I really, really do.
Question though. When Kulu comes back, what do you do?
So you still stick with 3-5-2. You still stick with it. But the difference being is that what you do is you almost, the wing backs aren't then in effect wing backs, they're wingers, so you almost take away that element of defending from them, which I think for the likes of Sessegnon, Doherty, Kulusevski, people like that, it then means that they haven't got that extra responsibility. I mean, then it pretty much makes Emerson completely defunct. There is no point having him at all if you're going to take away the only thing he's semi-decent at.
So I'm taking the fact you're saying that is that you thought, because this has been quite mixed reviews on the three guests before. I'm taking the fact you thought that Doherty today was better than having a Royale there.
Well, the difficulty you have is, let's not forget, defense. If you had to pick defensively, it's Emerson. But from attacking perspective, it's Doherty. So 3-5-2 suits Doherty, whereas in a way you can kind of understand how 3-4-3 would suit Emerson because there's a more of a defensive element for it. There isn't that extra man in the middle.
You've just said something, and I just want to go on that because you just said about Doherty in the attacking part. Do you feel like that's what made Cesc play better today? Because he actually had someone to look across and there'd be someone on the right there for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to think if he was putting in a bad ball and it's going over, it doesn't matter because he knows that Doherty is bursting up that wing to try and get it to put it back in again. Yeah. So from that side of it, 3-5-2 allows us to be more attacking based, and the problem is with 3-4-3 is that we haven't got the players that can do it because they have to, for 3-4-3 to work, you have to be both attacking and defending, whereas 3-5-2 is more designed at attacking because if you are on the defensive, then one of the midfielders will just drop back and you'll almost go to a 4. So from that element, it ticks a lot more boxes, and you can kind of understand why Conte, when he has Emerson, there's no point having 3-5-2 because it doesn't work at all. So I mean, ultimately 3-4-3 doesn't work, but there's at least a defensive element to it for 3-4-3. But when you go 3-5-2, it just doesn't suit Emerson at all. But Doherty, as we saw, there was more of an attacking threat. There was more of an opportunity. There was more. It was a case of that the defense didn't have to sit there and think, right, well, as long as we shut off Sessegnon and the middle, then that's fine. It's in effect, it was a case of that. But when we have Doherty in there, it kind of really then opens itself to think, well, hang on a minute, we've got to be careful here because the problem that we're going to have is that is an option. And we know prior to his injury at Villa, he has got that in him. So I do hope that the next 2 Premier League games, and I'm hoping the contest in the night in the Champions League game, that he actually continues Doherty, because Doherty needs to now be given a run of games to make 3-5-2 work. Because I think with him and Sessegnon and having Perisic and Spence, if he'll ever play him, that is our options. That ultimately is.
I'm not getting into another conversation about Spence. But
to be fair, no. I'll tell you why I brought that up is because I did a running joke about the fact that I didn't believe that Brian Hill existed. And he came on. So I'm now trying to transfer that to Jed Spence and hoping that Conte goes, right, well, he does exist and I'll bring him on maybe. He won't, but you know.
Nah, because I think there's a lot more cover for Spence, and I think there's other reasons behind it.
Yeah,
but I wanted to get on Basuma's performance today. You know, he finally came in the middle, and we've been crying out for Basuma, and finally Conte went, here you go, start with Bentancur and Højbjerg. What did you make of his performance?
It's a little bit erratic. There were some moments that were really good. Obviously, he put in a last-ditch tackle that was really quite, that really sort of stopped Brighton having a chance. But there were moments you sat there and you thought, it's going to be a bit awkward.
And the fact you're saying that, do you actually then agree with what Conte's been saying in the last couple of weeks about he's not tactically there yet?
I think the problem is, I think 3-5-2, again, a bit like for Doherty, 3-5-2 suits someone like a Basuma. I think possibly the only awkwardness about it is that, he likes to go forward from the middle, but so does Højbjerg. Bentancur more sort of doesn't really do defensive, but he sort of will break up play and pass it on to someone like a Højbjerg or a Basuma. Yeah. So I think the difficulty is that ultimately where both of them want to burst forward, it can leave the midfield a little light. And I sort of look at it and I almost think now that Højbjerg and Basuma are sort of vying for that position, which, and I thought Højbjerg played really well. But I do think that it would suit more Skip playing that sort of position, sort of the one sitting behind the back four. He isn't one to burst forward and create chances. He sort of mucks in. So you kind of almost have like it's almost like a Bentancur and a Skip sort of sitting back while like a Højbjerg is going forward, because we've seen with Højbjerg, he does that really well for Denmark. So to me, I actually think if you're going with a 3, it's either got to be Bentancur, Skip and Højbjerg, or Bentancur, Skip or Basuma. That is where I think the 3 has to come in, because I don't feel that it suited Basuma to try and have him be the one that drops back. I think he's the one who likes to, if he's got the ball, try and push forward with the ball. We've seen that quite a lot against us. He did it last year. So, but I think, as I say, 3-4-3 doesn't suit him. I think 3-5-2 does. But if he is going to play, he's competing with Højbjerg, who I know Højbjerg has critics, but actually he's kind of like an unsung hero for us. He just does the basics.
I think his best game might have been today. And I think he benefited from the 3-5-2.
Well, exactly. And this is the whole point. It almost, by having 3 in there, whichever 3 he chooses, I think, Basuma will grow into it. But I think with the 3 that you have there, it does give each one of them a bit more freedom. I think when we go 3-4-3, I think the difficulty is that for that to work, you kind of need the 3 up top, at least either Kane dropping back into a 10, or you need the other 2 dropping back. And the problem is that the 3 kind of almost just stay up there. They don't really come back. So it kind of leaves us like that. Whereas if you go 3-5-2, I do feel that actually that works better with each one of them. And I agree. I think Højbjerg had his best game because he had more freedom with the ball and was able to sort of try and pick passes and not only that, but break up play when needed.
And so, before I let you go, who's your man of the match?
Well, we spoke about it, but it has to be Højbjerg. I mean, I think, to be fair, at the back they did you know, they weren't. I was surprised because I thought Brighton would be a lot, after watching how they played against Liverpool, I was expecting a lot tougher up top. So I thought that the defence would be under a lot more pressure. But, you know, ultimately, the midfield, you know, the sort of the three in the middle there kind of dealt with that okay. As I say, you know, Basuma was a bit erratic. In a way, I feel sorry for Bentancur because I don't think Bentancur will ever be a man of the match, even though he does what he needs to. He just goes on that pitch, breaks up plays. He does the basics really well. But for me, I have to give it to Højbjerg because, you know, he was brilliant when was needed to, you know, sort of mopping up if, for example, Basuma got out of position or things like that. He did that bit really well. And when he needed to, he was able to push forward and bring the others into play. So he was doing his job, I think, perfectly well. And I think 3-5-2 suits him. So for me, definitely, I'd have to say him for man of the match.
Justin, as always, thank you. It's been
Thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure as always. Just before you go, where can people find you and plug your channel?
Well, as I say, it's sometimes here. You know, I do things on you know, the Hotspur Hood, but primarily for me, it's all things Tottenham. We're recording tomorrow, so that will be out probably Monday. So, you know, give that a listen. I think, to be fair, there'll be a few of us, if anyone saw the tweet we put out, there'll be a few of us eating a bit of humble pie because we all thought we were going to get battered today, and hats off. But to be fair, we didn't think Conte played 3-5-2. So, you know, as I'll openly put my hands up, we played better than I expected. And as I say, we keep winning. You know, we may not be playing our best football, but we keep winning. And there are teams around us that aren't finding their feet yet. So let's see where this season goes.
Justin, thank you as always. And come on, you Spurs. My next guest, I'm going to keep bringing them out because a lot of people want to get on tonight. Matt, how are you doing?
All good, mate. You?
I am all good. So let's get straight into it. 4 changes, 3-5-2 formation as well. Were you happy? Were you surprised? And how do you think we got on with it?
Yeah, no, I think for a long time we've always known Conte to be quite stubborn with his tactics. He will refuse to change up formation or refuse to make substitutions or even change the team. Prime example is from the North London derby on last Saturday to Tuesday's game. Didn't make a single change. But no, I think we've been crying out for kind of the 3-5-2 with the 3 centre midfielders. Granted, all of the 3 centre midfielders that play today are all more defensive minded. I think this just goes to prove that we did play well today in that system, but it just goes to prove that I think we do need a creative spark in there. As well, out of the 3, the more advanced one out of the 3, you say you'd have 2 holding. The more advanced out of the 3 would need to be a creative spark, something that we've kind of missed since Eriksen. People might say, yeah, Kane can play there, but look at today, for instance, like Kane went and got the goal that got us the 3 points. But no, I think today went well. Something that we've been crying out for is to play them kind of 3 centre midfielders because he'd done that system at Inter Milan and it obviously worked well for him there. It was good to see him actually change from what he's so used to doing or what we've been so used to seeing. It was good to change it up, and it obviously worked for us today.
I'm going to talk about the front 2 with you because I've spoken about it with a couple of the others. What are you making of their performances right now, as a pair and as individuals?
Individually, obviously it's quite clear to see that Sonny's not been up to it. I think he was needed. He needed to be rested when he did get rested against Leicester, and then obviously he come on, scored that hat-trick in 13, 14 minutes, whatever it was. And then you'd think, oh right, like it couldn't have been a more perfect time for us to go and play Arsenal, especially with Son back in form. Obviously, that game, Lee said about that the better. Not just his performance, but the whole team performance. I'm kind of happy I didn't come on the stream for that one. No, I think he's just. I don't know what it is with him. Like he seems to be taking too long on the ball. There was a couple of opportunities today where he could have slipped in like a Sessegnon, or I think Bentancur was playing more advanced out of Basuma and Højbjerg today. It seemed like that way anyway. He could have slipped in Bentancur a couple of times, could have even slipped in Kane. He just seems to be holding on to the ball too much and wanting to do everything himself. It's been a bit, or obviously clearly disappointing this season. But Kane, look, Kane's performances this season arguably have been winning us our games because he's been scoring us our goals. And I'll never say a bad word about the guy.
The only reason I'm asking it, and I thought you might go there with it. Now, Son obviously set up Kane today.
Yeah.
But yet Son will get it more in the neck than Kane will. But if you look at Kane's performances, have they been anywhere near what you'd expect?
Oh no, I don't think so at all. But I think it predominantly comes down to everyone's going to say, "Oh, this is a poor excuse," but I think it's just too many games in a short period of time. Like you've got to think he's only
it's a valid point. I actually agree with you. Personally,
he's only human. Let's be real. He could play really well for 30 out of 38 league games, but then he's got Europa League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, a World Cup in a really shit time, to be honest.
I said to one of the guests earlier, do you think we're now seeing what happens to both of them? It's not just one of them now, it's both of them. What happens when you rely on someone for 7 years, constantly playing 60 games a season? And Conte's regime is tough, and rest in peace, Gian. But he literally that. I've never seen Kane and Son. I don't know if it was just Spurs releasing the photos or whatnot, but we've never seen Kane and Son like that in a pre-season. And
I mean, at the end of the day, the geezer's only human. But the geezer's only human. Do you know what I mean? It's eventually going to catch up with anyone. Like even if you look at Haaland, who's absolutely blitzing every competition he seems to be playing in at the moment. There's only so many games that geezer. I know he's a lot younger than Kane, but there's only so many games he's going to be able to play this season before his performances will end up dropping because he's being relied on too much and playing too many games.
Well, with him, I think the World Cup is going to come up at a good time for him because he usually gets injured around Christmas, funny enough. So I think for him, I don't think we'll see much of a dip with Haaland this season. Maybe next year when we do have the games coming thick and fast. But because I don't think Norway even qualified for the World Cup, so he's going to have a month off anyway. So for him, I think we won't see it with Haaland too much this year. But I agree with you. I actually do agree with you that it's probably a matter of, the amount of games they're playing between, and both of them are club captains of their country. They're relied on by their country a lot, both of them in that sense. And we're probably seeing the suffering of it now because, let's be honest, we've never had a replacement for both of them since they became regulars. And to give them that rest. Son will probably had more replacements, but not in the sense of how good he is and his quality. And Kane,
it's true.
Kane, let's be honest, Richarlison's the first replacement, and Richarlison's not even. There's not been one. I think there's been one time this season where Richarlison's come on for Kane. So again, we're still using him to the full effect.
Yeah, and I mean, like you look at it today. He tracked back, didn't he, Kane, and got that boot in the ankle. And I thought, oh no. I thought not just for Tottenham but for England as well. I thought, shit, it's that same ankle that always seems to give him problems. But he got taken off today. What is it, the 89th minute or something? And the only reason he come off is because he got a boot on the ankle.
And we got a game Wednesday. So,
exactly. So
which is a bit more important than today if you think about it realistically.
I mean, I think it's easy for people like the people that see it at home and watch, or even sit in the stands, just fans in general, to say, "Oh yeah, but they're athletes. They should be able to do this, mate." Like they're playing 3 games a week. If you think about it, from like Saturday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then Saturday again.
It's going to get worse because this month is obviously the biggest month. I think there's 9 games. All the top 6 sides have to play within this month. The Man United and Arsenal in Europa League, so obviously they're going to be they're going to be rotating as much as possible because that's the way they are. But the teams in the Champions League are not going to because they want to win both competitions. So it's going to be difficult. What did you make of Cess today?
I thought
he obviously got man of the match with Sky Sports. But what did you make of him?
I thought it was one of his best performances in the Spurs shirt, to be honest. Because he is. We all know he's decent going forward. We know that he's your attacking fullback, which to be fair, 90% of fullbacks are nowadays. But defensively, he's always been that little bit of liability defensively. But I thought today he held his own. I thought he played really, really well today. It's one of, if not the best performance I've seen of him in a Spurs shirt. And rightly so, got man of the match from Sky. And I know we cover it at the end anyway, but I think I've given it away with my man of the match is going to be. But
do you think his performance, though, and I didn't even think about this till just in the previous guest just came in, do you think it's more down to that there was an attacking right back playing? And again, quick question, and we're going to talk about the right back as well quickly before I let you go. Would you, after seeing Doherty's performance today, would you put Royale back in? We can't talk about Spence because Spence is not a non-starter. So let's pick between the two. Are you putting Doherty back in next week? Well, if Doherty and on Wednesday, you got the big game on Wednesday. I know that obviously Royale's not playing the next 3 league games. If it's down to you right now, who are you putting back at right back on Wednesday?
Well, I'm going to the game on Wednesday, and I tell you what, if I wouldn't want any of them, I might even run out from the stands and play right back, to be honest. But no, like you said, to cover the question, I would probably, in terms of rotational side of stuff, now that Royale's got a 3-game ban, he's got 2 more games to serve that ban in the league. You're probably going to look at Royale to play. But to be fair, that game in Frankfurt on Tuesday, I thought we done all right.
A lot of people have said this. Quite a few people. A lot of people go, "He's crap," and this, and never won't admit it. But I've heard that. There was a couple of people that came on this channel and actually said, "You actually have to give credit where credit's due. He played all right." So
yeah, I'm not that blind. I'm not that much of a blinded Spurs fan. Like, if a player plays well, if I hate him or not, I'm going to say they played well, and he did. So, like, to answer your question, Doherty was just. I mean, it's funny that because Conte said like earlier on in the week in a press conference, Doherty's not ready or something along them lines to play. Obviously, I think it was kind of subject of elimination that he was going to play today. But to answer your question, I'll probably play Royale at right back on Wednesday. Man
of the match?
Sessegnon. I think I covered it like literally about 2 minutes ago. Yeah, no, I thought Sessegnon. But both centre midfielders played well today. I say both, being Bentancur and Højbjerg. But I just think in general, like Sessegnon kind of had that left side kind of locked down. Well, their right side locked down, to be honest. What I was a little bit cautious about on a couple of occasions was that they were playing Solly March at right wing back for most of the game, and he's left-footed. But as I see Sessegnon, instead of shining more to the right side, he was kind of letting him cut in a bit more. But that's just me being pinpointing certain things. But no, I think solid performance all round with Sessegnon. Going forward, very good. Defensively, one of his best performances in Spurs shirt.
Matt, as always, thank you for your time. It's been a while.
It's been a long while, mate.
It's been a while, but
I've been too depressed. I've been sitting at home in a dark room drinking beer constantly with performances. So.
Come on here for your therapy. That's what you need to come on here for. But as always, and as we always finish on with all our guests, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Just to let you know, Haz is back on Wednesday to do the Frankfurt match reactions, so make sure you catch us around 10 o'clock for that. And as always, thank you to everyone in the chat and everyone who's been on. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And make sure you check out Flix's gear. It's in the description, and make sure you check that one out. I just wanted to leave this here for a minute just to pay our respects to Gio after he's passing this week. But as we always finish on, come on, you Spurs.